Kia ora whanau, welcome back to this special programs that we are doing it with police, that every time we're bringing a special guest to talk us about certain topics. So stay with us. I have a special guest with me today in the studio. We talk more. Stay with us. Welcome back, whanau. I have very special guest to meet today here in the guest. I would love to give you the mic and introduce yourself to me and to everyone else who will be listening, watching this. Welcome, and how are you?
Good, thank you. Kia ora, everyone. My name's Jim Dunlop. I am a police officer. Been in the police 16 years now. Came to the police later in life, and have loved every minute of it since.
As long as you love it, there's a passion around it. What
Absolutely.
was your passion?
Passion to begin with, probably like a lot of people. I joined from overseas. I came back to New Zealand for family, and it was an opportunity for me to do something for the community, to get in, to help, to serve the community. For me, that was a big thing. I came from a family where a lot of family members did serve the country and that sort of thing. And so for me, it was quite important in that respect. Yeah.
Beautiful, nice. What a beautiful to come back and then serving community much more. That's just great. James, really thank you for making time and having this corridor today. And what's your specialty within the police department?
Yep. So what I am now is the Wellington District Mental Health Lead. Now that's my official title. So what that means is I am the kind of liaison between police and health, namely mental health. So I've been in that role 18 months, coming up 2 years. Prior to that, I was on the CoResponse team for 3 years. I worked in that, and sort of that led me to understand the world of mental health a bit more and become a bit of a almost specialist in that area of that emergency mental health response. And from there have gone into leading the team and shaping how we, as the Wellington community and district as a whole, respond to mental health in those emergency situations.
That's cool. So a lot of people who may be listening, watching, say, what is mental health doing with police? So if you give us a little bit, what's your team do, and a little bit insight about it.
Absolutely. So the CoResponse team was started in 2020. We started right as COVID hit.
What a time.
That was that was best laid plans, and it all went out the window when the world shut. But so what it does is we brought together police, ambulance and mental health all into one team, because prior to that every agency responded on their own, and police are very well aware that we're not the experts where it comes to mental health. We're not very good at it. We're not trained in it. The legislation is not behind us to help people. And we're struggling with it. But when you put all of the three agencies together and you start working as one group, we found that we were able to get better outcomes for people. We were able to involve whānau a lot more. We were able to keep people out of police stations, keep people out of ED, get people into the right help quicker, get the people in to see the right people, the right help. Everything just seemed to happen quicker because you had people from each agency was able to navigate the various pathways quicker. Which made a big difference, because quite often people historically, if police would come, there's that stigma attached that this person's done something wrong, which is quite often not the case at all. And it was removing that stigma. And, you know, once police sort of made the situation safe, we were able to step back a little bit, let our experts and colleagues step in, help, and then move on from there. So it made a big, big difference overall.
Yeah, I just love this kind of initiative of bringing other agencies into collaborative together for responding things. So is this initiative have been like tested in other countries or is New Zealand?
So no. It was first started in America around, I think, possibly 20 years ago. Don't quote me on that. Yeah. And then it moved from America around to Canada, across to Europe, into Australia, and finally it's hit New Zealand. It took a long time to get up and running through various stops and starts, but Wellington sort of grabbed the bull by the horns, and we went, no, we're doing it ourselves. And from there, we were studied. The study's online. If you search the CoResponse team evaluation, it's there to read, all 168 pages, if you like. We were studied by Otago University for a year, and from that has come the recommendation that those teams are rolled out around the country. I think we've got another 5 teams, including us, possibly 5, maybe 6 teams around the country set up at the moment, and others that are on the way. So from us doing what we did, it sort of paved the way for a better way of managing that mental health in those times where it's a real struggle for people.
Okay. No, that's really great. Awesome to see such initiative taking other parts of the country as well.
Yeah.
So the other question I have, Jim, here is about what are some of the misconceptions that people have about police when it comes to handle mental health situation, and how can we address those misconceptions?
Yeah, like I said, there's quite often a stigma attached, and that police getting involved, that this person's done something wrong. Quite often, and we're working to change it, police have sort of become the default mental health emergency response. We recognise we're not the best people for it, but sometimes we have to be involved when there's safety issues, either to the individual themselves or to the wider community, family, friends, that sort of thing. We will become involved in that safety aspect. And quite often there's a lot of stigma attached because the police involved, this person's done something wrong, which can quite often spiral those negative feelings, basically.
Yeah.
And that's not what we want. And it's a real tough bridge to overcome, as I found that, it's the supportive family stepping in, and I've seen it even when police are involved, it's the supportive family and friends stepping in and around that individual that has made the difference, because no matter how much police say you're not in trouble, it's quite hard for that individual in that time when they're not feeling the best to accept it. But when it's family and friends stepping around and afterwards, that's when it sort of can help that long-term well-being, rather than that negative feeling of, oh God, things are so bad that the police had to come.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely, that's one of the big stigma around.
Yeah.
When they see police officers, there's someone that have done something.
Yep. You've only got to look on Facebook and see, what are the police doing in this street?
Yeah. Right. So when you guys, let's say if there's a situation there, that people, how do we want to report something? Yep. And how do police will make the call if it's like a your team to be going with the support?
So essentially, the time to call police is when somebody's safety is at risk. If somebody's life is at risk, if somebody's physical well-being is at risk, that's the time to involve police. So what happens is if it comes through to police, my team will sit there and look at all the jobs that come into police. They look at everything, because as you know, somebody's mental health can appear in virtually
Right.
anything. And they'll look at everything coming in, and they'll look at it and they'll go, okay, what's the best response for this person? You know, is it that the team actually go to the individual, or is it better that it is referred off to a support agency like one of the maraes? The marae may step in. It may be that this person already has a mental health team, get them to step in, actually send this person back to the doctor, whatever it may be. That's what they look at, and they go, where is the best point that we can step in and help this person? Rather than what was happening previously is a very cookie cutter approach. Police would go, we would take that person to ED, they'd be seen by CRS, and it just end up in a big circle. So by looking at it and going, what does this person need now? Where is the best place that can help them? We've seen we get better long-term results. So that's what they'll look at, is go, what does this person need right now? What is the best point of contact? What is the best outcome we can get for this person? And then go from there.
Nice. No, that's awesome. And related to that, is there any programs or initiative like when you receive such a calls, we call them, let's say, support there? So,
Yep. So we work with a lot of the maraes. We'll work with different NGOs. We're always on the lookout for any new NGO. There seems to be it never ceases to amaze me how many support agencies are out there. And different, churches, whatever it may be, that can support this individual. We're always on the lookout for these organisations that we can call on and go, hey, we've got this person. This is where they're struggling. Can you help? We've involved different church groups, different maraes, different, you name it. We've tried to engage as much as possible with that person's culture, whatever it may be, if they want to. Sometimes they don't want to.
That's
Sometimes
right.
there can be shame around it. And if that's not what they want, that's fine. We don't go down that path.
Right.
We try to put that person at the centre of what we're doing, and we try and involve them as much as possible and try and get the outcome they want as well.
Yeah, nice. And for another question, just the same one about ethnic communities.
Yep.
Do you guys have any, let's say, support in a language or any other cultural stuff?
Yeah, so we've used there's the different language lines in that, but we've also we've gone out and got, put calls out to different officers who may speak a different language, that sort of thing. Made calls to different people within the police. Hey, look, we're going to this community. Is there anything we need to know about how we manage this, how we interact with it? There's a colleague of mine who works in the team. He spent a lot of time with the Muslim community and that sort of thing. So he's absolutely gold on just different things that we deal with. And I think he actually speaks Arabic. And so, there's been a few times he's been invaluable on sort of breaking down some of those barriers and getting people on to understand where we're coming from, what we're trying to do to help people. It's huge. Sometimes that language barrier can be very tough, and it can take some organising, but in the long run it's worth it.
No, absolutely. So that's great. So member of communities, so they can feel comfortable that the police have a connection to community leaders, to organization you mentioned before, that can meet the cultural things, the environment to help the family and the individuals who are involved into
Absolutely, because the thing is, it can be scary because, I think of one particular one where this person was very unwell. We had to take them into hospital, and the family didn't know what was happening. All they saw was us taking their family member away. And I can understand if you don't know what's going on, that's horrendously scary.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
But, being able to put some stuff in place and get some other people involved to explain, hey, look, this person's just going to hospital. Once they're better, they are coming out. You can go and see them. You can do this. You can do that. Here's some phone numbers, that sort of thing. And instantly you can see the relief start coming of, oh, okay, this person is going to come back. This is temporary type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's very nice. Yeah. Great. So the other one, I do have a few more questions. So it's from your experience, like, what are some of the biggest challenges like the police officers can face and when responding to mental health related calls?
Yep. So the big challenges police face when we go to a mental health call is we don't get a lot of training in mental health. I think you're lucky if we get about an hour and a half worth of training to deal with mental health. And what we're trained in mental health is very specific. And mental health, it encompasses a wide range of things. Also, some of the frustrations that we have is we're not empowered by law to actually do a lot. It's a really challenging space because quite often we're just legally not allowed to do anything and we're not trained in it. So we're basically there as a human being, as part of the community, trying to do the best we can to help someone with not a lot of understanding on the wider mental health spectrum, which can be very, very frustrating because quite often our hands are tied behind our back. So coupled with the fact that we're not trained in it, the fact that we're not empowered by law to actually do a lot about it, we can hit a lot of brick walls. And also, because we're not trained in it, what I found is when I started in the CoResponse team, we were doing the exact wrong thing for some people. There's certain individuals in the community, they get validation in their life from emergency services involvement. So the best thing you can do is if they ring up is not go. But police were going over and over and over again, and this person just would, chew up huge amounts of police time, which was taking us away from other things.
That's the thing,
Whereas we found it is once we started the team and we worked with mental, and we said, like, how do we deal with this? This person's doing this. How do we deal with it? And they'd say, you need to do this, this, and this, and it'd even break it down as this is what topics to talk about. This is what topics not to talk about. This is how to talk to them. Don't say this. Do say that. And even just simple stuff like that. All of a sudden, that person would stop using emergency services as their emotional support.
That's right.
But prior to that, police would just go over and over again, and we were just like, you'd almost get that. There'd be a fatigue around it, and you start losing your empathy because you're going back to that same person every time, and the same thing's happening, and it's hard to be empathetic when it's the 15th time you've been to that person in a week, and then somebody else rings up with something similar, but it might be very genuine, and it's hard to not carry that to the next thing, and it's learning now, how do we manage these people better? Because also police are very problem-solving orientated. We love solving problems. Mental health you can't solve. You're not going to solve it. But it's how do we manage it? And how do we manage it with the support of, family? Now we put things in place like intervention plans or response plans. So we'll work with mental health, we'll involve family, whoever needs to be involved, and we'll go, okay, if your family member rings up, how do you want us to respond to them? And that we were able to put that any police officer going to that situation can look at it and go, oh, this is what I need to do. I need to ring the uncle, I need to ring mum, I need to, ring the neighbour, whatever it may be in the first instance. And, from things like that, and involving family, all of a sudden you're ringing mum or dad or whoever it is and going, hey, we've had a call from your son, is everything all right? And they'll go, oh, we'll get back to you. And then we'll get a ring 5 minutes later, everything's all right, he's just not, we're okay at the moment.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden police aren't involved, family feel like they're contributing, everything gets better in the long term.
Yeah, wow. What experience and what a need for the resources for your team. How big is the team?
Not very big.
Oh.
We have 2 police officers, 4 mental health staff, and 1 ambulance officer at this stage. So not very big at all. We do the best we can with what we've got. We'd always love more, but it's amazing what a small team of the key is the information.
That's right.
Information is the big thing. We look at something and we'll go, okay, this person is well known to mental health. This is what their normal is.
Yeah.
That they're not saying anything different. Nobody has to worry about this right now. But then you might get a young guy, oh, actually, this guy's young. He's in that dangerous age bracket. He's had some traumatic life experiences. He's had something to drink. Okay, this is quite risky.
Yeah.
Let's go and deal with this. And it's pulling all of that information together to look at it and go, okay, what does this entire situation look like, rather than what does this incident look like? And that's the big game changer.
I see how much was the important for such a team to be needed in police, because it will save a lot of times from police to make the right call. Is it the police to get involved, or is it to bring some other organizations to get involved?
Yep.
And also helping the other community organization that is there to help the community, right?
Yeah.
So I think we help get more support, more and more training for the team.
Yeah.
And more budgeting side of it.
That's the hope.
Yeah. Would you guys look also for recruitment of people on this area specifically?
Yeah, it's an area, because it's quite specialised, and because we look at things quite holistically, and because we become quite specialised in the role, it's an area that you need a bit of experience in the wider policing context to be able to step into and fully understand. You need a bit of experience behind you within the policing world to actually step into it and go, okay, how do we best deal with this? Also, you've got to look at what's important. For example, if you walk into a dress and somebody's got some drugs, a small amount of drugs sitting on the table, look, is that worth worrying about? Or is you worth worrying about this individual who's not coping well with life? Get rid of the drugs. Don't worry about that. That can just be dealt with, gone by. Deal with the person who's struggling at the point in time.
Right.
So, it's being able to look at the situation a bit wider, and also being able to make those judgment calls, because what we do is quite different to a lot of traditional thinking within police. And we challenge a lot of the policies and that sort of thing. And one of the big things the team does is we look for roadblocks within systems, and we challenge them, and we try and break them down, and we try and smooth pathways out and things like that. And quite often holding someone to account for a small amount of drugs is not worth it in the big picture.
Right.
And you've got to have that ability to look at that, understand what that is, understand the wider complex matter that it is, and navigate it quite comfortably, and being able to back your decision up.
Yeah. Nice. That's awesome. Definitely. So could be other police officer, different teams to progress if they saw the passion and experience and learning why they need, which you guys already doing good stuff to collaborate with different departments.
Yep.
For instance, we talked about the language barriers, the cultural things that you reach out. Also, the another question I have, Jim, it's about community, which is like how community members can collaborate with police to help them in a response. I know you mentioned about the MRI and things, but what will be, let's say, if someone is listening, watching right now, they say, what's my role? How I can help police? What I should do? Should I directly call? Should we do something?
Yeah. In my space, as I say, the big thing is if you feel somebody's at risk, by all means, ring police. Mm-hmm. That's the number one thing. If somebody is at risk, ring police. If we can't help you, we will point you in the right direction.
Yeah.
And I think also different communities, if you've got something that you'd like done a certain way, whatever it may be, especially with my team, is don't be afraid to tell us. Mm-hmm. Don't be afraid to voice what you need in that instance, whatever it may be. Mm. If it's as simple as taking your shoes off, say so.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be, don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to be true to yourself, to what you need for that situation. I think that's really, really important, and not to feel that you have to do it a certain way because the police are involved. There are times that is going to absolutely have to happen, but there's a lot of times there's wiggle room. We can meet in the middle. But if we don't know, because as you know, I'm sure everyone's seen who is a New Zealand police officer now. There's that many backgrounds and colours and flavours and every different type of person we have in the police now. Yeah. We're not all experts on every other community within this country.
That's right. It's very hard.
Yeah. So don't be afraid to say. And if we get it wrong, I'd like to think it's a genuine mistake. Mm. And sort of don't be afraid to educate some of us.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
No, I think this is a great call for community just to help. That's the way, because like you mentioned, if you don't know, you don't know until someone to open that door of information and knowledge. Great. So it's just a couple. I'm aware about the time, but the conversation is great. I have another questions about the trust, and then if people will there say, okay, if I call and if I start talking about, let's say, member of a family or someone, or even if let's say I will call for myself, I need help. How this information will be held by police and how we will be saying to the people, it's safe, your information does not impact your career, does not impact something else.
Yeah, exactly. Like information in this country is very, very tightly held, and like something my team does is we are very aware of what information is held, how that can impact somebody's life long term. Mm. So, for example, you ring up, you're struggling with life. It's a bad week. Mm. You've dropped the milk. The cat got run over. The kids lost their shoes. Mm. You're just not coping with the week. Yeah. You ring for some support. My team will come out and we will look at it and go, okay, now you've never been in trouble with police. You've never been in contact with mental health. You've never been, you've never even got a parking ticket. Okay. First instance, like I said, we look at, okay, what's the best thing for you? We will send you, for example, back to your doctor, because then there's no record of you being in touch with mental health services, being in touch with police. All it will say is, you spoke to police, sent, referred to doctor. That's it. That means nothing. Whereas if somebody, has an official police record or an official mental health record, who knows what that's going to impact down the track.
Right.
So, we're very cautious on what we put in there because we're very, very aware of what that means for somebody's long-term outcome. If it needs to be in there, it absolutely needs to be in there. But in terms of like police don't share information, and this was one of the other challenges with our services. Police don't share information with health, don't share information with corrections, so we all keep our information very tight. But like I said, when you're trying to look at a situation holistically, that's no good.
Right, yeah, exactly, yeah.
So once you can look at the information holistically, but only my team does it. So we're very, very cautious on that, and we, only disclose it within our team. Yeah. And if somebody else rings us up, hey, can you tell me about that guy over there? No.
Yeah.
No, can't tell you. So yeah, the majority of information that if it is held by police, and unless you're actually committing crimes, it's not going to affect long-term goals in your life.
Right.
I know previously in a past life within police, I used to be a traffic police officer, stopping cars all the time and dealing with somebody. I can't remember where they were from, but they were so scared that the speeding ticket was going to get them deported. And it's like, no, absolutely not. A speeding ticket is not going to get you deported. No way in hell. It's just no.
That's some of the misconceptions, can do. But there is some of the, if you get speeding ticket, may get you delay from your citizenship. There's stuff.
Yeah. Unlikely. Yeah. Really unlikely.
It depends on how much speedy and how much crazy.
Yes, very good point. But, just normal speeding, no. Yeah. It's not going to affect anything. And even just talking to police, it's not going to affect anything.
Right.
There's a lot of anxiety and misconception around actually interacting with the police, what that means long term. And the majority of people, it means nothing. It doesn't affect anything long term.
Yep, that's great.
Yeah.
I think, that's a clear message about that bridge between police and communities is safe. It's the police is there. They are a member of community. They are there for safety of community.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, we can't do our job without the community.
Right.
And the community can't be the safest community it can be without us. So we need each other.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, because without each other, because if you guys don't agree with what we do, I'm sure you've all seen the things that have happened in America where they've all the riots against police and things like that. Yeah. It falls over. And then if we don't have the help of the community, people get away with stuff they shouldn't get away with.
Yeah.
So it's very much a relationship that needs to be going both ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, that's great. I'm coming to end of this topic, but it's really great. I have myself learned a lot about these topics and about some of the common stuff and how we could be just as safe to report and stuff. And the support that we know there is such a team exists.
Yeah.
So that's the number one information that probably one call, get there. If someone arrive, he don't know anything, only the police call them, they may refer you. That's the information we want to pass, which is amazing to see such a team and the work you guys doing. Just great. So I want to thank you, Jim. And now it's end of the podcast, but if you have any other message you want to send to communities.
As I say, I think the biggest thing is not to be afraid to talk to police. And the big thing is don't be afraid to educate us. We can all learn something at some point.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
And by that one, we will end this podcast.
Thank you.
So thank you so much again for your time. I appreciate your knowledge and the conversations you give us and time that
You're
can
welcome.
make some awareness around there. So as a part of this season, Jim, we have something else, the last things we do. There's our previous guests have left us a question. So you may not know who is it. Then you will also have opportunity to write us a question. So let's see what was the question. Okay, says, can you tell me about a dream for the future?
My dream for the future. My dream for the future is that my team isn't needed.
Wow.
And that's been my motto from the very first moment I stepped into that team, is that I want to work myself out of a job. I don't. That's my long-term goal. Is I want to create a system, or I'd love a society where a team like I've got is not needed. Yeah.
Love it. Wow. Powerful.
Yeah, and it's a
everything.
big job.
It's a big job, and it's also says a lot of things, because if everything else is well, you definitely don't need. Society will do the work itself.
Absolutely. And the biggest thing I've learned, I've lived in very, very small communities where the community very, very much had to look after itself. You know, I'm talking 1,500 people isolated, no backup, no help, no nothing. And we had people with mental health challenges in the community, like every community. We had no mental health staff. We had no mental health hospital. We had no mental health specialists. We had nothing. But the whole community supported those people.
Yeah.
And, you know, if your mate was feeling down, you said, come on, let's go fishing. Let's go this. Let's go and have a chat. Let's go, you know, and everyone looked after everyone else.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Yes.
And it's, as society's got bigger, we've lost that community spirit. And that's the big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we need to get it back.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you again, Jim.